kind of the force behind the universe?
You could say that, yes.
Or God?
Well, if that's your definition of God, then that's great.
I don't have a definition. Don't try to act like I know.
Yeah. A lot of the songs, Brett will not shy away from talking about God. You know, he's an atheist in the sense that he doesn't think there's a God in the world or in the universe that does anything.
The God in the clouds.
Yeah, there's not a God that answers your prayers. And yet, he still wants to believe there is something bigger out there. And that's, you know, I've grown very tolerant of those kind of suggestions. However, I think he's absolutely crazy for thinking it.
How you doing?
Hello.
So basically, I'm seeking advice. I'm a musician as well, and I think it's really interesting. It's wonderfully interesting how different your concept of music is than mine. I focus more on harmonies and intricate, musical concepts, and you focus on lyrics and philosophical concepts. And I'm sort of the same way. I feel I have that too, but I have trouble letting go of my art. Basically, it's never good enough, and you're okay with playing, simple stuff as long as it gets the message across. So I'm wondering how you can find that.
Well, part of me isn't okay with, like I told the woman before, you can't ever be satisfied when you write a song, no matter how well articulated it is. It's just, to me, it's a process. It's a step in the direction of your next song.
But I mean, you still focus more on conceptual aspects of it, correct? Like, I mean, more than the chords that you play, or is it the same thing? You're never you're satisfied more with one than the other sometimes?
Well, I think that my acknowledgement that it's all a process, and my acknowledgement that people will interpret it the way they want, says that you can never control how it's interpreted, how it's... And so playing an acoustic stripped-down version of something is still going to be interpreted by each person individually. And I think that's an acknowledgement that there's no perfection in that sense. And also, by the way, we've always been very interested in harmonies. It's something that we take very seriously. So the sound of the music is very important to us as well. Thank you. Last question.
No, sorry. Last guy in line for the last question. So we'll just have everyone go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is our last question. Okay, 6 more questions.
Hello.
Hi.
I had the opportunity to speak with Greg Epstein earlier today, and he asked me what it was about the music of Bad Religion that was meaningful to me. And what I said was that music, until discovering Bad Religion, was never a part of my life. I never really had any appreciation for it for exactly the reason you spoke about the conflation of entertainment and education. And all the music I'd encountered up until Bad Religion was just completely frivolous in my mind, sort of useless to me. And given that Bad Religion is literally the only music I listen to, could you recommend any other music that satisfy those criteria that you're able to appreciate?
No, I cannot. No, I'm just joking. I mean, I've always been inspired by the bands and artists who have a large catalog of music and have spanned decades. It's an interesting thing that a lot of them are not the most famous, but Frank Zappa comes to mind. And these are things that, I mean, artists you can spend your entire life learning about, and you can, there's no end almost to the amount of music you can discover among them. So you could spend some time with Frank Zappa. Todd Rundgren's another one. But, you know, I would say in terms of contemporaries, there's a huge amount of interesting punk music that has evolved over the last 20 years. Punk isn't just the Ramones, but you really should know about the Ramones. And you really should, and the best thing is there are all kinds of catalogs and compendiums now that have regional, lists of regional bands and regional flavors of punk that I think are, many of them are compilations that have come out from those labels. And I would also say one of my favorite styles of music to explore is old-time music. Old-time, particularly from North America. Just because, again, the catalogs are so rich, and the amount of recorded music now available is immense. Good luck. Thank you.
Tonight you played Cease, which has been one of my favorite songs since middle school, and I just wanted to have some insight into that song and what personal experiences helped inspire the lyrics.
Well, that, you know, it wasn't an inspiration really. I just want to dispel a myth real quick that songs are inspired by a moment in life. Sometimes that's true, but in the case of that tune, it wasn't. I started writing the first verse. The first verse talks about blacktop spreading endlessly, like a chemical reaction. And that was because it's really boring that I'm going to reveal this to you. But that's just because they were cutting down a lot of trees in our neighborhood and expanding this housing development. And we have this beautiful, pristine forest in the back of our property that is labeled for destruction. And at the time that album came out, they decided to expand the neighborhood. And that's what got me. So the first verse talks about environmental destruction and the end of ecosystems, basically. Then I thought, let's build on this. What are other things that cease? And the second verse is about social movements that have come and gone. And then the third verse is about family and interpersonal relationships. And it just so happens that was at a time when I was getting a divorce. And like I said, it's boring to reveal those facts, but the song itself is, You're Not Alone. A lot of people tell me it's their favorite song. And I think when you put all that together and express it in a particular way, it can be more than just what inspired each verse. It can give you some emotion that wasn't there when I was actually writing the song. So, thank you for liking the song.